Chosen one. Pause for a moment. Stop scrolling. Take a breath. What brought you here was not curiosity, and it was not coincidence. Heaven scheduled this encounter, and your name was written into this moment long before you pressed play. Anointed one. If you have been wrestling with money, waiting for relief, praying through financial pressure, or wondering why provision feels delayed, hear this clearly: you were not being punished, you were being prepared. Chosen one. The waiting season. You just walked through the closed doors, the unexpected expenses, the silent battles in your mind and spirit. All of it was divine refinement. What felt like resistance was alignment. What felt like delay was heaven building capacity. As it is written in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, the vision awaits its appointed time. It will surely come, it will not delay. Anointed one, you are standing at the edge of a supernatural shift, not gradual, sudden, not man-made, heaven-sent. A divine wealth transfer is positioning itself toward your life, and what once drained you will no longer have power over you. Money problems are not your identity. Wealth is your calling. Money is your mantle. Breakthrough is your destiny. Chosen one, this is more than a message, this is an activation. Stay present, stay open. Heaven is about to reframe how money flows into your life, and nothing will remain the same. Chosen one, there comes a moment in every destiny when heaven leans close and whispers a truth that has been waiting for you to finally be ready. That moment is now. You have felt it in the quiet parts of your soul, in the heaviness behind your questions, in the stirring that refuses to leave you alone. You have been sensing that you are not who you used to be, and the life you once carried no longer fits the shape of your spirit. The world has tried to label you according to your past, but heaven has been calling you according to your becoming. There has always been a mark on you, a divine imprint that set you apart, even when you didn't have the language for it. You felt different growing up, not because you were broken, but because your spirit was tuned to a frequency others around you could not hear. You cared deeply, discerned, quickly carried burdens silently, and saw truth before others could name it. This was never weakness. It was evidence of your calling. Chosen one identity does not awaken all at once. It rises slowly like dawn emerging after a long night. You have walked through seasons where you questioned your worth, your purpose, your future, and even your place in God's plan. But in the unseen, heaven was shaping you, preparing you, aligning you with assignments that require a purified heart and a steady spirit. There were moments when you thought you were falling apart, but in truth, you were shedding who you no longer needed to be. Every disappointment refined you. Every betrayal sharpened your discernment. Every delay deepened your faith. I know this because I have lived it too. There were seasons when I felt hidden, overlooked, and misunderstood, not realizing that heaven hides what it values until the appointed time. And just like you, I reached a point where I could no longer fit into the rooms I once forced myself into. I slowly realized that the ache inside me was not a sign of failure, but a sign of awakening. Chosen one. The awakening of identity is not a loud event, but a holy unveiling. It happens in the subtle shifts of your thinking, in the quiet rearranging of your desires, in the sudden clarity that reveals what no longer aligns with where you are called to go. This is why old patterns have been breaking, why old relationships have been fading, why old fears have been losing their grip. You are no longer driven by survival. Something in you is rising toward purpose. Something in you is remembering who you were before life tried to bury your brilliance. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to carry light, to walk with authority, to move in wisdom that cannot be explained by your experiences alone. Anointed. One identity awakens when heaven needs you positioned. That's why the discomfort has been increasing. You have outgrown environments that could not see you and conversations that could not hold you. You have felt a holy dissatisfaction, a spiritual stretching, a restlessness that keeps pushing you toward something greater. This is because the calling on your life has started pulling you forward. Your spirit has been hearing heaven's footsteps before your mind could understand the direction, and now the veil is lifting. You are being shown who you are in God, not who the world conditioned you to be. You are chosen not by accident, but by assignment. You are anointed not by effort, but by origin. You are marked not by struggle, but by purpose. And the money problems, the financial storms, the pressure that has been surrounding you, these were not signs of defeat, but signs of formation. Heaven allows pressure to reveal identity. Chosen. One identity creates atmosphere. When you begin to remember who you are, the world around you begins to shift. Opportunities that were once blocked begin to open. Ideas that felt out of reach begin to form. People aligned with your next level begin to appear. This is not coincidence. It is divine orchestration. When heaven awakens identity, it awakens resources, alignment, clarity, and direction. That is why your finances have been shaken, because heaven needed you to detach from the systems that once defined your security. You were never meant to rely solely on what you could earn. You were designed to operate under divine provision, divine wisdom, divine timing. And the moment you recognize who you are, the way money flows to you begins to transform. My anointed one, your identity has always included prosperity, stewardship, and abundance. You were not created to live in lack. You were created to manifest God's goodness through every area of your life, including your finances. But heaven could not release that level of blessing until you were ready to carry it with authority instead of anxiety. This awakening is your confirmation. This stirring is your evidence. Heaven is revealing your true identity, so you can step into a season where money responds to your calling, not your fear. Something powerful is opening over you, and the identity rising within you is the key that unlocks what comes next. Chosen one. What comes next will shift your spirit. Chosen one. As we step deeper into this journey, you must understand something sacred about your waiting season. What you walked through was not abandonment, punishment, or divine silence. It was spiritual construction. Waiting is never empty for those who are chosen. Waiting is where heaven rewires identity, restructures destiny, and refines the heart so it can carry what the next season demands. You have been asking why things took so long, why certain doors stayed shut, why your finances seemed trapped in a cycle that refused to break. But chosen one, heaven was not delaying you. It was developing you. The time when nothing seemed to move was the very time when God was moving the most. I know how painful it can be to wake up day after day, praying, hoping, believing, and still feeling like nothing is shifting. I've lived through seasons where every effort felt invisible, every prayer felt unanswered, and every step forward felt like sinking sand. But looking back, I realized that those were the seasons where God was strengthening my roots so my branches would not break when the wind of blessing finally arrived. Anointed one. Your waiting season was not a pause, it was a pruning. And pruning is not punishment. Pruning is preparation. God removed people who would have drained you, He closed opportunities that would have misaligned you. He blocked paths that would have diluted your calling. You thought you were being restricted, but heaven was protecting your next level. You thought you were losing, but heaven was positioning. You thought you were stuck, but heaven was stabilizing your foundation. Waiting exposes hidden fears, buried doubts, and old attachments that cannot travel with you into a destiny of abundance. Waiting forces you to face what distractions once helped you ignore. And for chosen ones, waiting is the classroom of trust. It teaches you to distinguish between your timing and divine timing. It teaches you to depend not on your hustle, but on God's orchestration. It teaches you that provision is not an event, it is a relationship. Chosen one. Financial delays are one of heaven's most intentional tools. Money is emotional. Money is spiritual. Money reveals what we trust, what we fear, and what we cling to. That is why God often allows a season where your hands feel empty, so your heart can finally let go of what it was never meant to hold. That discomfort you felt, the anxiety you carried, the pressure that kept building, that was heaven showing you the parts of your soul that needed healing before abundance could rest on you. To inherit divine wealth, your spirit must carry peace, not panic. Your heart must carry gratitude, not grasping. Your identity must carry confidence, not desperation. And this transformation can only happen in the waiting. Anointed one. There were moments when you were tested through lack because heaven needed you to understand who you are without money before it could show you who you are with money. In the waiting season, you discovered that your worth is not tied to your wallet. In the waiting season, you learned resilience, wisdom, discernment, and dependence on divine instruction. In the waiting season, you realize that your identity is not shaped by numbers in a bank account, but by the calling written over your spirit. And because of that, chosen one, heaven is now releasing you from the drought. The waiting season has accomplished its work. The refinement is complete. The internal restructuring has been done. There is a shift taking place, and you can feel it. Your spirit has been restless because transition is happening. The frequency around your life has changed. You have outgrown the season that once held you, and now you are beginning to see signs that the waiting season is lifting. Small breakthroughs, sudden clarity, new ideas, renewed hope, unexpected opportunities. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations that heaven is opening a new chapter. The delay was necessary because the blessing you prayed for required a version of you that did not exist yet. But now the version of you that heaven has been shaping is finally ready. You have passed tests you didn't know were tests. You have endured storms you didn't realize were strengthening you. You have survived spiritual battles that were breaking off old identities and awakening new authority. And now, chosen one, heaven is responding. Your money problems are not returning in the next season the way they existed in the last. The patterns have been broken. The cycles have been shattered. The spiritual resistance that once surrounded your finances has been dismantled. Heaven does not waste waiting. And because you endured, because you remained faithful, because you kept praying when you could have quit, there is a release unfolding over your life that cannot be stopped. Something is shifting in the invisible realm, and soon it will manifest in the natural. But what comes next will require a heart anchored in what your waiting season taught you. Chosen one, what comes next will shift your spirit. Chosen one, Now that your spirit has begun to awaken and your waiting season has taken on new meaning, something deeper begins to stir within you, the internal confirmation that heaven has been trying to deliver for years. This is the moment when what you felt but could never explain begins to align with what God has been whispering beneath the noise of your life. You have always sensed that there was something different about you, something sacred, something set apart. Even in moments of financial strain, emotional exhaustion, or spiritual confusion, a quiet knowing inside you refused to die. That knowing did not come from ego. It came from eternity. It came from the part of you that remembers who you were before life tried to convince you otherwise. Chosen one internal confirmation is subtle but unmistakable. It feels like peace rising where fear once lived. It feels like clarity entering places where confusion used to dominate. It feels like a shift in your spirit before anything changes in your circumstances. You start seeing signs, not because you're seeking them, but because heaven is sending them. You start feeling nudges, not because you're imagining things, but because heaven is guiding you. You start releasing things you once held tightly, not because you're giving up, but because your spirit is preparing room for what's coming. I've lived through moments like these where everything external looked the same. Yet something deep within whispered, "Your season is changing." And though nothing around me had shifted yet, I knew something above me had moved. Anointed one. Internal confirmation is heaven's way of preparing you before the blessing appears. Financial freedom begins within long before it reaches your bank account. You begin to imagine more. You begin to expect differently. You begin to dream without apologizing. These are not fantasies, they are spiritual indicators that your mind and spirit are aligning with God's intention for your life. When heaven wants to elevate you, it first elevates your thinking. When heaven wants to increase you, it first expands your internal capacity. When heaven wants to bless you, it first breaks the limits you placed on yourself. This is why your desires have shifted recently. The things you used to settle for no longer satisfy you. The ceilings you once accepted now feel too low. The environments you tolerated now feel spiritually suffocating. That discomfort is not restlessness, it is the vibration of destiny calling you higher. Chosen one, internal confirmation also reveals itself through divine dissatisfaction. Suddenly, the job you once endured becomes intolerable. The relationships you once compromised for begin to lose their grip. The habits you once justified no longer feel aligned with who you're becoming. Divine dissatisfaction is not failure, it is transformation. Heaven is pushing you out of old cycles to make room for supernatural provision. Heaven is pressing your spirit forward because your finances can no longer be tied to an old identity. You cannot carry a wealth mantle with a poverty mindset. You cannot step into prosperity while clinging to environments built on fear. You cannot step into divine abundance while tolerating things that drain your spiritual authority. And your spirit knows this. Anointed one, the internal confirmation becomes strongest when God begins to remove your fear around money. You begin to feel a shift, a sense of calm in places where panic used to speak loudly. You find yourself thinking differently about your future. Instead of worrying whether you'll have enough, you begin to sense that abundance is already on its way. Instead of stressing about the next bill, you begin to feel the quiet assurance that heaven is orchestrating what you cannot see. Instead of feeling unprepared, you begin to feel appointed. This is the evidence that heaven is aligning your spirit with increase. Chosen one. Internal confirmation often comes through spiritual resonance. Certain words hit you deeper. Certain messages feel like they are written with your name on them. Certain scriptures stir something ancient inside you, especially words like the promise in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, reminding you that the vision awaits an appointed time. You don't just read these words, you recognize them. It feels like heaven is echoing a truth you already carry in your soul. You hear sentences that feel like memory instead of information. You feel God's presence not just around you, but within you. That resonance is heaven saying yes. This is your moment, this is your season, this is your shift. Anointed One internal confirmation isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the stillest thing you've ever known. It's the moment your mind says, I don't know how, but your spirit says, I know it's coming. It's the moment your circumstances say, nothing is changing, but your heart says, get ready. It's the moment your bank account says, not yet, but your spirit says, soon. And when heaven begins to harmonize your inner world with your divine calling, everything external becomes temporary. You begin to understand that your current situation is not your final destination. You begin to see past the problem into the promise. You begin to interpret financial pressure not as defeat, but as divine setup. Chosen One. I need you to hear this with your spirit. The internal confirmation you've been sensing is real. You are not imagining the shift. You are not overthinking the signs. You are not exaggerating the change happening inside you. This is heaven's signature. This is destiny awakening. This is divine alignment preparing you for supernatural provision. The old version of you would have doubted this moment, but the awakened version of you recognizes it instantly because your spirit has been waiting for it. And now, Chosen One, what comes next will shift your spirit. Chosen One. Now we step into one of the most sacred revelations in your journey, divine timing. This is where the supernatural and the practical collide, where heaven's orchestration begins to replace human striving. Divine timing is not about clocks or calendars. It is about alignment, assignment, and the precise moment when heaven decides now. Many people misunderstand delay because they judge it through human perception instead of spiritual truth. But you, Anointed One, are beginning to see differently. You're beginning to recognize that nothing in your life has been random. The setbacks, the pauses, the frustrations, the rearrangements, all of them have been woven into a higher wisdom you could not see while you were living through it. Chosen. One, divine timing is one of the most misunderstood gifts God gives to His chosen. When you wanted things to happen, they didn't, not because you were unworthy, but because the foundation beneath you wasn't ready to hold the weight of the blessing. If the opportunity had come earlier, you might have settled instead of expanded. If the money had come sooner, it may have fed your fears instead of your faith. If the door had opened in your old mindset, you might have walked into it with the wrong identity. Heaven will never deliver something divine into hands that are still healing from survival. And I know you've wondered at times why others seem to advance faster, why their breakthroughs came quickly while yours felt slow. But Chosen One. What's being built in you is not surface-level success. It is a destiny anchored in purpose, legacy, and spiritual authority. Anointed One, divine timing is not slow, it is strategic. Heaven does not operate on human impatience. Heaven operates on readiness, and readiness does not mean perfection, it means alignment. God needed to align you spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and financially before releasing what He ordained for you. Heaven needed to disconnect you from people who could not steward your next level. Heaven needed to silence voices that would have influenced your decisions in the wrong direction. Heaven needed to clear the spiritual atmosphere around your life because the blessing coming is too weighty to be surrounded by distraction, jealousy, or confusion. Divine timing protects you from premature exposure. Chosen one, think back for a moment. Remember the job you didn't get, the relationship that ended, the opportunity that slipped through your fingers. You saw loss, but heaven saw misalignment. That no was not rejection, it was redirection. That closed door was not cruelty, it was covering. That delay was not denial, it was divine recalibration. You prayed for provision, but heaven first had to remove what would have sabotaged the provision. You asked for increase, but heaven had to strengthen your character before entrusting you with resources that could influence generations. You desired financial stability, but heaven knew that true stability does not come from income alone. It comes from spiritual maturity. Anointed One divine timing also reveals itself through supernatural protection. There were things you didn't even know were trying to attach to you. There were traps you didn't see. There were spiritual attacks assigned against your finances, your spirit, your peace, and your identity. But heaven blocked them quietly. You thought nothing was happening, but angels were working behind the scenes. You thought you were alone, but God was placing invisible shields around your destiny. You thought you were forgotten, but heaven was preparing everything you would need. People, resources, opportunities, wisdom, all waiting for a moment of perfect convergence. Chosen one. Divine timing feels slow until the moment it arrives. Then everything accelerates at a speed that feels supernatural. Suddenly, ideas flow. Suddenly, connections appear. Suddenly, clarity comes. Suddenly, finances open. What once felt impossible begins to align effortlessly. This is why some seasons feel like nothing is happening, because heaven is preparing everything to happen at once. Divine timing collapses years of delay into days of breakthrough. It transforms long battles into sudden victories. It converts confusion into revelation. It rewrites the entire rhythm of your life in a moment. Anointed One. You may not realize this yet, but you are stepping into a season where divine timing will be undeniable. Things that resisted you are now being loosened. Things that were withheld are now being released. Things that felt blocked are now opening, and not because you pushed harder, but because heaven said now. You endured the internal pruning. You passed the waiting season. You embraced the identity awakening. And now the timing that once felt delayed is catching up with your destiny. Chosen One. Divine timing will always require your participation, not through striving, but through alignment. You are now being invited to move when heaven moves, speak when heaven speaks, and step into opportunities without hesitation or fear. The version of you who struggled with doubt cannot lead you into this next phase. The version of you shaped by lack cannot interpret this new timing. Heaven is calling forth the version of you that trusts, that discerns, that listens deeply. This version of you does not chase, it attracts. This version does not fear, it recognizes divine orchestration. This version does not shrink, it rises with boldness because it knows the time is finally right. Anointed. One divine timing is not random, it is prophetic, it is intentional. It is the unfolding of destiny at the exact moment your spirit, your character, your faith, and your environment are all in agreement. And that agreement is happening now in your life. You can feel it. Something is aligning that you cannot explain. Something is opening that you cannot force. Something is shifting that you cannot deny. And Chosen One, what comes next, will shift your spirit. Chosen One. Now that divine timing has begun to reveal its fingerprints over your life, heaven invites you into a deeper revelation, the unveiling of your purpose and calling. This is the moment when you begin to understand why you survived what broke others, why you kept standing when everything in you wanted to collapse, why your spirit refused to surrender even when your circumstances tried to suffocate your hope. Purpose is not something you choose. Purpose is something you remember. And anointed one, your soul has been remembering in ways your mind is only now beginning to understand. Everything you have walked through, the financial storms, the emotional valleys, the spiritual warfare, has not just shaped you, it has prepared you. You are not stepping into purpose, you are returning to it. Chosen one purpose is not a career or a title. Purpose is the divine assignment written into your spirit before you entered this world. It is the reason some people misunderstood you, the reason certain environments felt too small, the reason mediocrity was never an option for you. You were created to build, to influence, to shift atmospheres, to change financial patterns not only for yourself, but for those connected to your destiny. Your calling is why you feel deeply, discern, sharply, dream boldly, and rise repeatedly. Even when you tried to live comfortably, something inside you pulled you toward more, not more materialism, but more meaning. That restlessness was not dissatisfaction with life. It was dissatisfaction with limitation. Purpose was calling you higher. Anointed one. Your purpose is tied directly to your spiritual identity, and that identity has been awakening layer by layer. You were not made to chase money, you were made to command it. You were not made to survive, you were made to steward abundance. You were not made to fear the future, you were made to shape it. But heaven could not reveal this calling while you were still carrying the weight of old wounds, old beliefs, and old stories about who you thought you were. Purpose requires clarity. Purpose requires capacity. Purpose requires courage, and heaven has been forming all three inside you. Think about it. The battles you fought did not just strengthen you, they sculpted qualities that are rare, powerful, and needed. Chosen one. The reason you faced so much resistance is because your calling carries weight in the spiritual realm. Financial warfare was not random. It was targeted. The enemy does not attack what does not threaten him. He attacked your finances because your calling requires resources. He tried to drain your confidence because your calling requires boldness. He tried to delay your progress because your calling influences generations. You are not called to a small life. You are called to a supernatural assignment that requires heaven-backed provision, divine wisdom, and spiritual authority. You were created to carry solutions, ideas, strategies, and breakthroughs that will bless others, not just yourself. And that is why heaven refused to let you stay in places of lack or limitation. Your calling is too significant to be built on unstable foundations. Anointed one. Purpose is always revealed in stages. First, heaven awakens identity. Then heaven processes you through waiting. Then heaven confirms you internally. Then heaven aligns the timing. And then in moments like this, heaven activates calling. You are stepping into the season where you no longer simply wonder if you have a purpose. You begin to walk in it. You begin to recognize that the wisdom you gained from hardship is part of your calling. The empathy you developed through suffering is part of your calling. The resilience you formed in uncertainty is part of your calling. Everything that was meant to break you became part of your preparation. Nothing was wasted, nothing was accidental, nothing was random. Chosen. One purpose will always require you to rise above the version of yourself shaped by fear. You can no longer underestimate your value or question your worth. Heaven needs you confident, not confused. Heaven needs you focused, not fragmented. Heaven needs you receptive, not resistant. Your calling is not about ego, it is about obedience. It is about stepping into the version of you that heaven designed long before you ever faced a financial struggle. That version of you is bold. That version of you is strategic. That version of you is spiritually intelligent. That version of you is wealthy not by accident, but by assignment. Wealth is not a luxury in your calling, it is a necessity. Heaven has placed gifts within you that require resources to flourish. Your calling will open doors that influence lives, fund movements, support the broken, elevate the overlooked, and break generational curses. Anointed One, purpose also demands separation, not because you are better than others, but because the calling within you cannot be diluted by environments unprepared for your next season. That is why some connections have dissolved. That is why some friendships faded without explanation. That is why God pulled you away from circles that no longer matched your elevation. Purpose isolates before it elevates. Purpose separates before it multiplies. Purpose prepares before it reveals. And now, chosen one, the revealing has begun. You are starting to attract alignment, opportunity, revelation, and spiritual clarity. Things that once felt confusing now feel obvious. Things that once felt heavy now feel temporary. Things that once felt impossible now feel expected. Chosen one. Listen closely. You are not behind. You are not late. You are right on divine schedule. Everything about your journey, the uphill battles, the slow progress, the unanswered questions has been intentionally synchronized to your calling. You are stepping into a season where heaven will begin to accelerate what once felt stagnant. You will begin to see why the journey took the shape it did. You will begin to recognize that your calling is not a future event. It is unfolding now. And soon the financial shift connected to that calling will manifest in ways you cannot deny. Chosen one. What comes next will shift your spirit. Chosen one. Now that your purpose has begun to rise within you like a long-awaited dawn, heaven begins activating something even more specific, sacred and powerful over your life, your financial mantle. This is not just about money. It is about spiritual authority in the realm of provision. It is about carrying the grace to attract, manage, multiply, and steward resources in ways that align with your divine calling. Many people chase wealth, but for the chosen ones, wealth is not chased, it is assigned. It is not earned through fear, it is carried through identity. It is not seized through striving, it is released through alignment. And Anointed One Heaven is revealing that your life was never designed to remain in cycles of lack, debt, anxiety, or barely enough. Those experiences were temporary classrooms, not permanent residences. They taught you discipline, humility, empathy, and trust, but they were never meant to define your destiny. The mantle that rests on your life is one of supernatural provision, divine increase, and spiritual economy, heaven's economy. Chosen one. A financial mantle is not something the world can give you or take away from you. It is something heaven places upon you because of the assignment you carry. Think about the patterns of your life. You have always been the one people came to for advice, comfort, encouragement, or clarity. You have always been someone others depended on emotionally or spiritually. That instinct to uplift others is not random, it is connected to the calling on your life. And heaven never gives a calling without also preparing the resources to sustain it. Your financial mantle is the evidence that the calling on your life requires more than survival. It requires overflow, not for ego, but for impact, not for status, but for service. Not for appearance, but for alignment. Anointed one, for chosen souls like you, money is not just currency, it is assignment fuel. You will need resources to build what heaven is entrusting to you. You will need abundance to support the people you are meant to bless. You will need increase to sustain the visions God planted in your spirit. The dreams you carry are too big for a small financial life. The influence you are stepping into is too significant to be carried with scarcity thinking. Heaven had to break your old relationship with money because your next season requires a different financial identity. That identity comes from the mantle, not from the marketplace. Chosen one, your financial mantle activates when heaven decides you can be trusted with more. That is why your waiting season felt so intense. Heaven was assessing your stability, not your struggle. Heaven was developing your character, not denying your blessing. Heaven was preparing your heart to remain steady under weight. You had to learn to hold joy without becoming arrogant, pain without becoming bitter, and hope without becoming dependent on external security. You had to learn that money is a tool, not a master. You had to learn that you're not defined by what you have or don't have. These lessons were necessary because your financial mantle carries influence over decisions, over opportunities, over futures. And for heaven to trust you with influence, heaven had to heal the parts of you shaped by fear, lack, and generational patterns. Anointed one, your financial mantle also carries protection. There were people in past seasons who would have drained you the moment money began to flow. There were relationships that would have exploited your generosity. There were energies that would have consumed your abundance without ever contributing to your purpose. Heaven kept resources away temporarily because the wrong hands were too close to your life. But something has shifted. Those who were not aligned have been removed. Those who were not meant to walk with you have been distanced. Those who could not honor your calling have been revealed. And now heaven can trust you to carry what belongs to your destiny because your circle has been purified and your spirit has been strengthened. Chosen one, you may not realize this yet, but your spirit has already begun moving differently around money. Fear is losing its grip. Anxiety is dissolving. Your reactions are calmer. Your decisions are clearer. Your discernment is sharper. This is a sign of mantle activation. When heaven activates a financial mantle, the first shift is internal. You begin thinking like someone who manages abundance, not someone who survives scarcity. You begin planning for increase instead of reacting to lack. You begin expecting doors to open instead of fearing they will close. You begin speaking differently, dreaming differently, and walking differently. This is not delusion. This is alignment. Anointed one, your financial mantle also brings supernatural help. You will notice that ideas come more easily. Solutions appear more quickly. Opportunities approach you without effort. People who carry influence will begin to recognize you. Unexpected provision will start to flow. This is because heaven works with you once your mantle is active. It is no longer you trying to figure everything out alone. Heaven begins moving resources, connections, and timing on your behalf. What once felt heavy begins to feel guided. What once felt impossible begins to feel natural. What once felt delayed begins to accelerate. Chosen one, you must understand that your financial mantle has nothing to do with luck or coincidence. It is a divine assignment. and assignments always carry weight. You will not just have money, you will carry authority in financial realms. Wisdom will increase, discipline will strengthen, overflow will follow. This mantle breaks generational cycles and establishes future generational blessings. It changes the atmosphere around your name. It shifts the way heaven endorses your steps. Anointed one, you are stepping into the season where your financial mantle will not stay invisible much longer. And chosen one, what comes next will shift your spirit. Chosen one. Now that the financial mantle resting upon your spirit has begun to activate, heaven starts unveiling something equally powerful, the unmistakable signs that your breakthrough is approaching. These signs are not random, subtle coincidences or emotional mood swings. They are spiritual indicators, divine signals, and prophetic confirmations that heaven has shifted its posture toward your life. When a breakthrough is near, the atmosphere around a chosen one begins to change long before the blessing physically arrives. Your spirit senses it before your eyes see it. Your heart recognizes it before your mind understands it. Something inside you begins to vibrate differently, and you can no longer explain your internal responses in natural terms. Chosen one. One of the first signs of approaching breakthrough is the sudden discomfort with environments that once felt normal. You find yourself mentally outgrowing conversations, spiritually outgrowing patterns, and emotionally outgrowing people who once felt familiar. This is not pride, this is preparation. Heaven is stretching your capacity because the next level requires more discernment, more peace, more clarity, and more spiritual strength. You may feel disconnected from old energies, even without conflict or explanation. That is because heaven is severing attachments that cannot follow you into your season of abundance. The places where your spirit once felt comfortable now feel too small because your destiny has expanded beyond those walls. Anointed. One another sign of breakthrough is the increase in spiritual awareness. You begin noticing things you used to overlook: repeated numbers, recurring dreams, patterns in scripture, or moments where your spirit senses a message behind something ordinary. Your sensitivity becomes sharper, your intuition strengthens, your prayer life deepens. This is heaven awakening your spiritual antenna, because breakthrough requires spiritual alignment. Heaven cannot release what your spirit is not prepared to recognize, so when you suddenly feel more in tune, more alert, more receptive, that is not accidental. It is confirmation that heaven is drawing near. Chosen one breakthroughs also bring unusual emotional waves. You may feel a mix of peace and urgency, calm and anticipation, stillness and momentum. You might wake up feeling like something is about to happen but can't explain why. This internal stirring is not anxiety, it is spiritual readiness. It is the same feeling a seed experiences right before it breaks through the soil. Pressure intensifies right before promotion. Discomfort increases right before elevation. Your spirit knows the timing even when your mind does not. Heaven reveals breakthrough through sensation long before manifestation. Anointed one, another powerful sign is the sudden removal of people who are draining you. Before heaven releases abundance, it removes anyone who would mishandle it. Relationships fall off, situations dissolve, connections fade. Not because you did anything wrong, but because heaven is protecting what's coming. Anyone who cannot celebrate your next level, respect your calling, or handle your elevation will be moved out of the way. When people fall away without a dramatic ending, it is divine editing. God is creating space for kingdom-aligned connections, supportive voices and partnerships that resonate with your purpose. Chosen. One breakthrough is also signaled by unexpected clarity. Ideas come faster, solutions appear suddenly. You see possibilities where you once saw obstacles. Your creativity increases, your vision sharpens. This is not coincidence, it is the breath of God moving through your thoughts. Heaven is preparing your mind to steward the opportunities being released. You may find yourself journaling more, planning more, dreaming more boldly. This is a sign of divine alignment. Heaven is expanding your inner world, so your outer world can finally rise to match it. Anointed One. One of the most profound signs is the collapsing of old cycles. Suddenly, habits you struggled with lose their power. Emotional triggers stop triggering you. Financial fears begin to fade. Anxiety becomes quieter. You start responding to life from a place of maturity that surprises even you. This is what happens when heaven breaks chains in the spiritual realm. The effects become visible in your daily life. When cycles end, breakthrough begins. And chosen one, things that once controlled you can no longer touch you in the same way. Another sign of breakthrough is divine disruption. Plans shift, routines change. Something in your life becomes unsettled, not to break you, but to guide you. Heaven disrupts stability to reveal destiny. When things stop working the way they used to, when paths you depended on suddenly close, when comfort zones begin to crumble, it means heaven is redirecting you towards something greater. Divine disruption is uncomfortable but necessary. Breakthrough rarely enters through a door you expected. Chosen One. Breakthrough signs also show up through supernatural peace. Not the absence of problems, but the presence of God. Peace that does not make sense. Peace that calms your body even when circumstances look uncertain. Peace that whispers, "You're closer than you think." Peace always escorts breakthrough. When heaven is ready to shift your financial life, it gives you peace before it gives you provision. Peace is the receipt of what you have not yet received. Anointed One. Another sign is uncommon favor, random kindness, surprising opportunities, people recommending you without you asking, doors opening that you didn't knock on. This is heaven's hand moving through human vessels. When favor increases, breakthrough is near. When people start seeing value in you without knowing why, it is because heaven has placed a spotlight on your spirit. And finally, Chosen One. Breakthrough reveals itself when the warfare intensifies right before it ends. Resistance spikes, distractions appear, old temptations try to return. This is because the enemy senses what heaven is releasing. Pressure is proof of proximity. Attacks increase because breakthrough is at the doorstep. Chosen One. What comes next will shift your spirit. Chosen One. As the signs of breakthrough gather around your life like a rising tide, heaven now ushers you into one of the most profound realities of your journey: supernatural alignment. This is the realm where everything begins to synchronize, not by effort, but by divine orchestration. It is where heaven arranges, aligns coordinates, and harmonizes the pieces of your destiny so precisely that even the delays begin to make sense. Supernatural alignment is not about luck. It is not about coincidence. It is heaven's mathematics, the spiritual precision with which God positions you, prepares you, and propels you into what has always belonged to you. Anointed One. When alignment begins, your life moves from striving to flowing. You stop chasing opportunities and start attracting them. You stop forcing outcomes and begin walking into them. You stop questioning your path and begin recognizing the hand of God sculpting every step. Chosen. One's supernatural alignment begins internally before it manifests externally. It starts with your thoughts shifting into harmony with heaven's intention for your life. Suddenly you begin thinking differently about what is possible. You begin perceiving abundance as natural rather than distant. You begin expecting clarity instead of confusion. This inner shift is the first sign that heaven is syncing your spirit with your assignment. When your inner world aligns, your outer world must follow. This is why certain desires have intensified, not because you're being greedy, but because alignment is awakening what was dormant. Your dreams are no longer random, they are prophetic invitations. Your ideas are no longer accidental, they are divine downloads. Your passion is no longer vague, it is strategic preparation. Anointed One. When supernatural alignment begins, God starts moving people into and out of your life with holy precision. Some people disappear without explanation. Others show up at pivotal moments. Some reconnect unexpectedly, some drift away quietly. This is not emotional chaos, it is divine choreography. Heaven removes misaligned voices because they would distort your next season. Heaven brings in kingdom-aligned individuals because your purpose requires collaboration with the right spirits. Alignment ensures that relationships, partnerships, mentors and helpers appear exactly when needed, never too early, never too late. When the wrong people leave and the right people enter, you are witnessing supernatural alignment. Chosen One alignment is also revealed through timing that suddenly becomes effortless. Things that were difficult for years now unfold with ease. Doors you knocked on without response now swing open at the slightest tap. Opportunities you once begged for now pursue you. This is what happens when heaven aligns your path. Timing ceases to be an enemy and becomes an ally. The right moment finds you. The right connection recognizes you. The right resources locate you. You begin to experience what the world calls perfect timing, but what heaven calls appointed time. The struggle was never because you lacked ability. It was because the timing had not aligned with your destiny. But now the gears of heaven are turning on your behalf. Anointed One, another dimension of supernatural alignment is the way provision begins to appear from unexpected places. You may notice sudden financial relief opportunities for income you did not pursue, unexpected blessings or supernatural solutions to long-standing financial burdens. This is not accidental, it is alignment. When heaven aligns your steps, your provision is not dependent on one stream. God begins opening multiple avenues that support your calling. Ideas turn into income, skills turn into influence, wisdom turns into strategy. Alignment ensures you never again rely solely on human systems for your survival. You are stepping into divine economy where provision flows according to assignment, not anxiety. Chosen. One supernatural alignment also brings unusual clarity. Questions that haunted you for years suddenly find answers. Confusion dissolves. You begin to know exactly what to release, what to pursue, what to protect, and what to ignore. Heaven aligns your mind so your decisions reflect wisdom instead of fear. You begin to sense what resonates with your spirit and what disrupts your peace. This internal clarity is supernatural. It is not the result of logical reasoning, but spiritual positioning. Alignment removes fog and replaces it with revelation. Anointed One, another sign of alignment is the acceleration of your purpose. What once felt stagnant begins to move quickly. You feel spiritually propelled, emotionally strengthened, mentally focused, and financially positioned. You begin completing tasks that once drained you. You begin seeing progress in areas that once frustrated you. Heaven accelerates your path, not because you are rushing, but because alignment removes resistance. What took others years will happen for you in months. What took you months will begin to happen in moments. Alignment collapses time. When heaven aligns things, your pace increases without stress, because grace carries what your strength once struggled to sustain. Chosen. One, supernatural alignment often brings a holy disruption to your plans, a divine rearranging that pushes you toward your purpose, even when it feels inconvenient. You may feel nudged to change routines, shift habits, or step out of patterns you've outgrown. These promptings are not random impulses. They are heaven adjusting your trajectory to ensure you walk into what was written for you. Alignment requires flexibility. You cannot cling to old rhythms when heaven is writing a new chapter. Anointed. One, perhaps the most powerful sign of alignment, is the strengthening of your spiritual authority. You feel braver. Your prayers become bolder. Your declarations carry weight. Your discernment sharpens. You speak with confidence instead of hesitation. This is heaven aligning your identity with your assignment. You are no longer hoping you are chosen. You are beginning to know you are chosen. Chosen one. Supernatural alignment means heaven is no longer preparing you. Heaven is positioning you. And positioning always comes before provision. You are stepping into the season where God's yes will meet your readiness, where your calling will meet its resources, where your faith will meet its fulfillment. Chosen one. What comes next will shift your spirit. Chosen one. Now that supernatural alignment has begun weaving itself through every layer of your life, heaven ushers you into a new realm, the realm of divine opportunities. This is the stage where what once felt distant begins to approach you, where what once resisted you begins to make room, where what once required striving now flows with ease, because heaven has opened pathways you could never have created on your own. Divine opportunities are not random chances. They are assignments wrapped in timing. They are doors. Heaven opens only when your spirit, your mindset, and your identity have finally risen to the level required to steward them. And anointed one. Your spirit is rising right on schedule. You are walking into a season where opportunities are no longer something you chase. They are something drawn to you by divine design. Chosen. One, divine opportunities arrive quietly at first. You may notice small openings, an unexpected message, a chance conversation, an invitation. You didn't anticipate a piece of information that suddenly changes your direction. These are not coincidences. They are heaven's way of introducing the first wave of opportunity without overwhelming you. When God begins releasing opportunities, He often does it in seed form, seeds of thought, seeds of inspiration, seeds of connection, seeds of favor, seeds that seem small at first, but carry the potential to shift your financial life, your purpose, and your legacy. Heaven does not waste movement. If something new is appearing, it is because heaven is positioning you for something greater. Anointed one. Divine opportunities often appear disguised. They may not look glamorous or impressive at first glance. Sometimes they look like small tasks, unusual ideas, or unfamiliar paths. Sometimes they look like conversations that feel too ordinary to matter. Sometimes they look like assignments beneath your skill level or moments that don't seem connected to your destiny. But heaven hides elevation inside obedience. The smallest yes can unlock the largest breakthrough. The simplest step can lead to the greatest shift. The opportunity you overlook may be the one God intended to multiply. This is why your spirit must stay sensitive. Divine opportunities rarely look like worldly ones. Chosen one divine opportunities also come with peace. Not the kind that removes all questions, but the kind that settles your spirit, even when you don't understand the full picture. When something is from heaven, it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't create pressure in your chest. It doesn't produce dread or confusion. Instead, it produces alignment. It feels spiritually familiar, as though your soul recognizes the path even before your mind does. Opportunities from God do not demand you break yourself in the process. They invite you into expansion without sacrificing your identity. Anointed one another, powerful sign of divine opportunity, is the way heaven begins removing the limitations that once held you back. Suddenly resources appear, people show up. Knowledge comes easily, obstacles dissolve, solutions arrive. What you once felt unqualified for heaven begins equipping you to handle. What you once feared, heaven gives you the courage to confront. What once felt overwhelming now feels within reach. This is not luck, it is orchestration. Heaven will never present an opportunity without also providing the grace to fulfill it. Chosen one. You may also notice divine opportunities showing up in the form of upgrades. Doors you once knocked on now open wider. Platforms increase. Your name begins to carry weight in rooms you haven't entered yet. People speak well of you in places you've never stepped foot in. This is heaven giving you spiritual visibility, the kind no human effort could buy. Divine opportunities are always interconnected. One open door leads to another and another and another. It's never just about a single blessing. It's about a chain reaction orchestrated by heaven. Anointed, Antatas. One divine opportunities will also challenge you. Every opportunity from God stretches your thinking, expands your faith, and calls you into deeper responsibility. Nothing God gives you will allow you to remain small. Nothing God offers will let you hide behind fear. Divine opportunities force you to confront the version of yourself that doubts, hesitates, or second guesses. They require boldness, not perfection. They require obedience, not expertise. They require trust, not certainty. And heaven never gives opportunities to those who are fully ready. Heaven gives opportunities to those who are willing. Chosen one. One of the most overlooked signs of divine opportunity is the sudden resurgence of dreams you thought you had buried. The goals you abandoned, the desires you suppressed, the visions you once believed were too big, too unrealistic, or too impossible. Suddenly they rise again in your spirit, not as fantasy, but as instruction. Heaven revives what it intends to fulfill. If a dream is coming alive in your heart again, it is because an opportunity is approaching that aligns with it. God never resurrects a desire without preparing a door to match it. Anointed. One divine opportunities also require discernment. Not every open door is from God. Some doors are traps, some are distractions, some are invitations to revert to old patterns. You will know the difference because divine opportunities expand your spirit, while distractions drain it. Divine opportunities elevate your peace, while counterfeits disturb it. Divine opportunities require faith, while counterfeits demand fear. This is why your discernment has been sharpening. Heaven is preparing you to recognize what is truly yours. Chosen one. Divine opportunities carry weight, purpose and timing, and heaven is bringing you into a season where opportunities will not trickle, they will flood. You are stepping into a moment where your obedience will intersect with God's orchestration, and everything you need for the next chapter will begin approaching you in waves. Chosen one, what comes next will shift your spirit. Chosen one. Now that divine opportunities have begun to unfold around your life, like doors opening in perfect rhythm, heaven leads you into one of the most transformative revelations of your journey, the divine wealth transfer. This is not a metaphor. This is not symbolic language. This is a spiritual reality that has been unfolding across generations, and you are stepping directly into the timing of it. The divine wealth transfer is heaven's way of moving resources, influence, provision, and opportunities from the hands of the unaligned into the hands of those who carry purpose, purity, and spiritual responsibility. It is the fulfillment of a heavenly pattern seen throughout Scripture, throughout history, and throughout the lives of those chosen to steward abundance for a divine purpose. Anointed One, the season ahead is not about incremental financial improvement, it is about supernatural reallocation. Chosen One, before a divine wealth transfer manifests in the natural, heaven first prepares the vessel. That is why you had to walk through pruning, refinement, pressure, and transformation. Heaven does not pour abundance into a fractured identity. Heaven does not release resources into a divided spirit. Heaven does not elevate someone who still doubts their calling. You had to become the person capable of carrying what your destiny requires. You had to become someone who could handle financial increase without being consumed by it. You had to break patterns of fear, scarcity, impulsiveness, and emotional spending. You had to learn stewardship before heaven entrusted you with spiritual economy. The wealth transfer begins in the heart long before it reaches the hands. Anointed One, divine wealth transfers always happen in seasons of global, social, or spiritual shaking seasons, when systems begin to fail, when old structures lose their power, when new cycles begin to emerge. These transitions create openings for heaven to reposition resources, and if you look closely at your life, the signs have already been appearing. Jobs you outgrew, opportunities that dissolved, systems that failed you, unexpected endings, closed chapters. These were not losses, they were indicators that heaven was redirecting you from man-made provision to divine provision. When earthly support dries up, it is because heavenly supply is preparing to flow. Chosen One. One of the first signs of a divine wealth transfer is the sudden collapse of counterfeit sources. Anything that once gave you false security, relationships, jobs, routines, or environments suddenly lost their grip. You felt the ground shifting beneath you, not because you were falling, but because heaven was lifting you out of places that could no longer sustain your calling. Heaven will never transfer wealth into a life anchored to the wrong source. So the moment heaven begins releasing the shift, it disconnects you from dependency on anything that cannot hold what you're called to carry. Anointed One, another sign of the divine wealth transfer is the increase in supernatural ideas and strategies. Financial increase for chosen ones rarely comes through traditional routes alone. It comes through divine instruction, inspired creativity, heaven-sent clarity and wisdom that seems beyond your natural experience. You begin receiving ideas that solve problems, create value, or generate income in ways that align with your purpose. These ideas are not random, they are blueprints from heaven. They carry the fingerprints of divine timing. When heaven transfers wealth, it does not simply drop money, it releases revelation. Chosen one. The divine wealth transfer also brings unexpected connections. People with influence, resources, and authority begin noticing you. Helpers arise seemingly out of nowhere. Mentors appear. Collaborators emerge. Investors, supporters, or partners come into alignment. These are divine alliances placed in your path by God Himself. Chosen ones rarely elevate alone. Heaven sends people to accelerate what has been placed inside you. When these connections appear, it is a sign that the transfer has already begun. Anointed. One divine wealth transfers always carry supernatural favor. Doors open without explanation. Approvals go through faster than expected. Opportunities find you without application. Recommendations elevate you. Your name reaches places you've never stepped foot in. This is not human networking, this is heaven's endorsement. When heaven marks you for wealth transfer, no earthly system can block the flow. The spiritual realm moves first, and the natural realm follows. Chosen one, another dimension of the wealth transfer, is the restoration of what was stolen, delayed, or withheld. Everything you lost in past seasons, time, opportunities, finances, confidence, relationships, begins returning in a multiplied form. This is not coincidence. It is divine compensation. Heaven never forgets injustice against a chosen one. Heaven never overlooks seeds you sowed in faith, obedience, or sacrifice. Heaven records every moment you gave, when you had little, trusted when you had nothing, and believed when everything looked impossible. And now the season of restoration is unfolding. The years the locusts ate are being returned with interest. Anointed one. You may not fully grasp this yet, but the divine wealth transfer is not just about financial gain, it is about positioning. Heaven is positioning you to carry influence, to fund purpose-driven assignments, to break generational patterns, to build what others only dream of, to sustain what others cannot carry, and to elevate those connected to your destiny. Wealth in the hands of the spiritually aligned becomes a weapon against darkness, a tool for transformation, and a catalyst for destiny. Chosen. One, hear this clearly: the divine wealth transfer coming to your life will not resemble anything from your past. It will not be small. It will not be temporary. It will not be unstable. It will be heaven-backed, purpose-filled, and spiritually protected. You are stepping into a season where God Himself takes responsibility for your provision. Chosen one. What comes next will shift your spirit. Chosen one. As the revelation of the divine wealth transfer settles into your spirit, heaven now draws you into a dimension few ever step into: the realm of generational purpose and legacy. This is where your story expands beyond your life, beyond your timeline, beyond your personal needs, and into the eternal blueprint God wrote for your bloodline. Anointed one. Everything you have been wrestling through, the financial battles, the internal refinement, the seasons of lack, the waiting, the spiritual warfare has never been about money alone. It has been about inheritance. It has been about the kind of legacy heaven intends to establish through you, one that heals what was broken before you and empowers those who will rise after you. Chosen one. Generational purpose means you were chosen to end cycles that destroyed others. You were selected to break patterns of poverty, fear, instability, and limitation that ran through your family line. You were called to stand in the gap where others fell. Your resilience is not accidental, it is inherited strength awakening in you. Every hardship you survived has been training for generational authority. You were not just fighting for your future, you were fighting for descendants you have not met yet. Heaven allowed you to confront the giants your ancestors could not overcome, not because you were the weakest, but because you were the strongest. The mantle placed upon you is not light, it is generational. Anointed. One generational legacy begins with inner transformation. The moment you decided to choose healing over bitterness, faith over fear, obedience over comfort, purpose over survival. You shifted the spiritual trajectory of your lineage. You are rewriting history through your decisions. Every breakthrough you experience creates a pathway for someone after you. Every victory you win becomes a foundation they can stand on. Legacy is not built with wishes, it is built with spiritual courage. And heaven has seen your courage even when no one else did. Chosen one. Your financial elevation is part of this generational assignment. The wealth coming to you is not simply for bills, comfort, or achievement. It is for restoration. It is for rebuilding what was destroyed. It is for planting what was never planted. It is for establishing what your lineage was always meant to carry. You are being entrusted with abundance because heaven trusts your heart. You have demonstrated the capacity to steward blessings with humility, generosity, and wisdom. Heaven is not blessing you for personal gain. Heaven is blessing you so that lack is broken permanently from your bloodline. Anointed. One generational purpose means that the favor coming upon you will expose your family to a new spiritual frequency. You will become the reference point. You will become the example. You will become the story others in your lineage tell when they speak of breakthrough. You will be the one who proved that cycles can be shattered, blessings can be restored, and God can rewrite the narrative of an entire family through one obedient vessel. This is why the battle was so intense. The enemy was not just attacking your present, he was attacking your future generations. Chosen one. Generational legacy also means you are stepping into leadership, whether you realize it or not. Not leadership in the worldly sense, but spiritual leadership, the kind that anchors your lineage spiritually, emotionally, and financially. You are becoming the pillar everyone else leans on. You are becoming the voice of stability. You are becoming the one who prays, discerns, builds, initiates, and protects. This leadership is not forced, it is birthed. Heaven shaped you through storms so you could lead with compassion. Heaven strengthened you through loss so you could lead with wisdom. Heaven refined you through pressure so you could lead with clarity. Anointed one. Understand this, your legacy will not be defined by wealth alone, but by the spiritual authority you carry. Wealth without wisdom destroys, but wealth with purpose multiplies. Heaven is giving you both. You are receiving the mantle of a builder, someone who constructs what others will inherit. You are receiving the mantle of a restorer, someone who repairs what was damaged. You are receiving the mantle of a multiplier, someone who turns little into much. The divine wealth transfer is not an isolated event. It is the beginning of generational transformation. Chosen. One generational purpose also requires separation. You cannot follow the patterns of the past while building the future heaven assigned to you. You must break agreements with fear, scarcity, comparison, and generational mindsets of limitation. You were not born to repeat cycles. You were born to replace them. Heaven chose you because you possess the spiritual sensitivity to recognize what must end and the courage to begin what must start. You are the shift. You are the hinge. You are the turning point of your bloodline. Anointed. One legacy is not only about material inheritance, it is about spiritual positioning. Because you are rising, your lineage rises. Because you are healing, your lineage heals. Because you are stepping into abundance, your lineage steps into abundance. Generational blessings flow downward, and heaven is beginning with you. You are carrying blessings your ancestors prayed for but never saw. You are carrying promises that skipped generations, waiting for someone who could handle them. Heaven found that someone in you. Chosen one. Your life is bigger than your lifetime. Your purpose is larger than your present. Your calling stretches far beyond what you can currently see. You were chosen to establish something that will outlive you, outshine your past, and outlast every battle you ever fought. And now, as heaven prepares to expand you even further, remember this truth. Generational purpose is not a burden, it is an honor. Chosen one, what comes next will shift your spirit. Chosen one. Now we enter the final movement of this prophetic journey, the sealing, the activation, the moment where everything heaven has spoken over you becomes spiritually secured. This is not the end of a message, this is the beginning of a mantle. What is being released over you now is not temporary motivation, it is divine impartation. Heaven has walked you through identity, waiting alignment, opportunity, wealth transfer, and generational purpose for one reason: to prepare you for a supernatural life that does not collapse under pressure, does not shrink under responsibility, and does not retreat under warfare. Anointed one. This final activation is where heaven marks your spirit with what your destiny requires. It is where God says, "This one is ready." Chosen one, prophetic sealing, begins with recognition. Heaven confirms everything you've sensed, your shift, your calling, your breakthrough, and locks it into your spiritual identity so it cannot be stolen, diluted, or forgotten. There were seasons when you doubted yourself, questioned your worth, wondered if your prayers mattered. But now heaven removes the veil of uncertainty. Your identity is sealed in truth. You are chosen, you are called, you are anointed. Nothing that happens after this moment can unwrite what heaven has already written. This is the divine security of those set apart for purpose. Now you walk differently, not because you are better than anyone, but because you finally know who you are. Anointed one, prophetic sealing also closes old cycles permanently. Everything that needed to fall off your life, fear, scarcity, shame, limitation, confusion, is being spiritually cut at the root. You will not return to old patterns. You will not shrink into old identities. You will not respond from old wounds. The version of you that lived in survival has completed its assignment. Heaven is sealing the end of that chapter. What once had access to your peace will not access it again. What once drained your finances will not drain them again. What once manipulated your emotions will not manipulate them again. Your spirit is being fortified. Your boundaries are being strengthened. Your discernment is being heightened. This sealing ensures your future is not sabotaged by your past. Chosen one activation begins when heaven breathes on your purpose. This is the moment when dormant gifts awaken, when hidden abilities rise, when spiritual sensitivity increases. You will begin noticing ideas coming more frequently, doors opening more rapidly, and wisdom flowing more naturally. This is not inspiration. This is impartation. Heaven is activating gifts that were waiting for divine timing: the gift of stewardship, the gift of discernment, the gift of strategy, the gift of influence, the gift of generational leadership. These gifts will guide your decisions, your finances, your relationships, and your assignments. They are your spiritual tools. Heaven never sends a chosen one into a new season unarmed. Anointed one prophetic activation also shifts your spiritual authority. You will begin speaking with more confidence, praying with more boldness, and walking with more clarity. Your words will carry weight. Your presence will shift atmospheres. Your decisions will hold power. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. Heaven is amplifying your voice because your next season requires authority, not hesitation. You have been too quiet about who you are, too quiet about what God placed inside you, too quiet about your purpose. Heaven is breaking that silence. You will not step into this next season whispering, you will step into it declaring. Chosen one, as heaven seals and activates you, the final transformation is the establishment of divine protection. Abundance without protection is a trap. Influence without protection is dangerous. Calling without protection is vulnerable. That is why heaven surrounds you now with spiritual covering. Angels assigned to your calling. Shields placed around your mind. Barriers erected around your finances. Boundaries strengthened around your relationships. This protection ensures that what is released into your life will not be stolen, sabotaged, or delayed. Divine protection is the signature of a destiny that heaven intends to fulfill. Anointed one. Prophetic sealing is also about alignment with God's voice. In this next chapter, you will hear Him more clearly. Guidance will feel stronger. Red flags will appear quicker. Peace will direct you with precision. You will not waste years on the wrong people, wrong paths, or wrong decisions. Heaven is sealing your hearing so you can perceive spiritual instruction instantly. This is crucial because the blessings ahead require wisdom and the assignments ahead require clarity. Turn. This final activation comes with a divine promise that your steps are now ordered, your path is now blessed, and your destiny is now unlocked. Everything you have walked through has led to this moment. You are not stepping into abundance by accident. You are stepping into it by divine design. Your financial breakthrough, your spiritual elevation, your generational impact, all of it is sealed in heaven and released on earth. And what heaven seals, no force of darkness can unseal. What God activates, no attack can deactivate. What your calling demands, heaven supplies. Anointed one, as this prophetic sealing settles over your life, feel the atmosphere shift. Feel your spirit stand taller. Feel the weight of your old identity sliding away. Feel the alignment of everything heaven has prepared for you. You are stepping into a life where money responds to purpose, where doors respond to destiny, where opportunities respond to obedience, and where favor responds to your name. Chosen one. What comes next will shift your spirit. Chosen one. As we come to the end of this sacred moment, let your spirit feel the weight of what heaven has released over you today. You are not leaving this video the same way you entered it. A shift has taken place. A divine transfer has already begun. The delays, the pressure, the financial warfare, they were all pointing you toward this exact kairos moment, the moment where heaven says, now is the time. Anointed one, hear this with reverence. Your money problems are not your future. The drought is breaking. The cycle is ending. The provision assigned to your purpose is already moving in your direction. Walk forward with the confidence of one who has been chosen, sealed, and appointed for abundance. May clarity rise in your mind. May peace settle in your spirit. May divine opportunities open before you. And may the supernatural flow of heaven's wealth surround your life like a river that never runs dry. Chosen one, stay aligned, stay expectant, stay faithful. What God has begun in you will not be interrupted. If this word spoke to your spirit, feel free to comment, share, or subscribe, not as routine, but as an act of agreement with what heaven is doing in your life. Walk boldly now, anointed one. Your divine abundance has already begun.